don't care. I'll be as opposite as possible. I'm gonna be the worst landlord.
You heard it. Can we just clip that? For
Honestly.
yeah, we'll need that clip for something.
We
I don't
will.
know what.
Something. Don't know what.
I don't know what yet, but we will. Welcome to... Oh, that one was pretty good. Didn't hurt or anything. Another...
Didn't hurt you.
Sorry, headphone listeners.
Forgot to check my notes.
Welcome to another somewhat depressing episode in Ireland.
Only somewhat.
Yeah. Of the Effin' Movie Podcast. We're your hosts, Mason, Nathan, Dylan, and Price. Actually, in that order.
Beautiful.
Today, we're talking about... I'm going to try really hard on this one. Banshees of Inisherin.
Inisherin.
Damn it,
I thought it was
Inisherin.
Inisherin.
I know.
Inisherin.
I know.
I'm pretty
Asparagus.
sure it's Inisherin.
It is.
Asparagus.
I can never get it right. Really quick.
Oscar nom.
Oscar nom movie.
Wait,
yeah,
for what?
this one was
For
Best
Best
Picture,
Picture.
Best Supporting.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
It was a rough year.
Best
all
picture's a
tripping.
lot.
You're tripping. So, really quick. We're going to have two questions in this one, but I'm going to go ahead and get this one out of the way because it's thematic to describing what the movie's about. Boys, what's the point of this movie? What is it trying to get across?
Keep your hands off my freaking donkey.
Okay.
It's over.
It's about the right to not be a friend anymore if you don't want to.
Yeah.
And to live out your passions, no matter what they are.
Okay, what's the message, like the big thematic message that the movie's trying to give you on this, like applying to what? It's not just the friendship stuff.
You're fishing for something, so go ahead and give us the answer.
It is the futility of civil war. That is what this movie is trying to do by putting these character stories to sit there and be symbolic of it. All right.
Sure.
I know you...
Dude, I feel like I just went to a class.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Dude.
Yeah. I don't care about the
Oh my
symbolism.
gosh.
Like
Oh
the
my
fact that
I know
like,
you. I know
this
you don't. And
movie.
you.
the war is going on just
Yeah.
as like a health bar to their relationship
Yes.
at the time. Like,
Yeah.
get the hell out of
Yeah.
here. Like, director, thank you for spoon feeding me my meal.
Well, some people.
And you didn't do a good job, because
Tell me
that
the
food
theme
did not
before.
get into my mouth at all.
God.
You spilled it halfway.
You take that back.
Y'all aren't saying
Yeah,
this
I mean,
movie's so
I guess that hand could have been tipped a little bit more.
It didn't get tipped
Like,
at all.
yeah,
Mhm.
I didn't see it like that either, but I see where that is.
Yeah.
If you say that that's what the whole theme was.
But wait a second, I've been watching your videos religiously, and I still don't know what this movie's about.
I was about to get there, but you guys are totally.
He's already on the defense.
Oh my god.
Yes.
I know, because it's 1v3 on, and you guys have wrong opinions
It's
on
his
the movie
pro
today.
I'm so excited.
It isn't, and I'm so right about this.
Okay.
Anyway, so you got the basic premise of the movie is what's presented on screen. Is the characters Sonny, Cole, and Larry and Patrick, Pad, whatever. Anyway, so Sonny, Cole, and Larry decides one day on this little small island that they live on that he just doesn't want to be friends with Patrick anymore.
I thought Colm was the...
Colm is the old guy cutting his
Yeah.
fingers off. Pad is
Yeah,
the...
Colm's the one who decides to not be friends anymore.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I thought you said that backwards.
No, yeah. Anyway, so Gleason, for those who want to keep in with the character names, and Farrell, the one with the fingers,
Well,
all still intact.
Yeah.
And technically, with Gleason's fingers by the time this movie is all really
Yeah,
wrapping.
he's actually got 15 fingers.
Yeah, he's got more than he even needs.
You're gonna pickle him or something.
Yeah, so the simple premise
Feed
is...
him to his donkey.
Yeah. Guys, we're ruining the review.
Well, we're ruining it.
We're ruining it, yeah. Getting way ahead of it.
Heavy spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers of galore already.
As is the case
yeah.
always.
Anyways, the TLDR is that he stops being friends with him. Conflict ensues. All right. Go
Hijinks
on,
ensue.
guys. Go on, and I'll just save all the good reasons telling you guys why this movie's better than you guys are giving it credit for.
I don't understand why Dylan's already on the defensive because we've just been like
I know, because you guys
very
just-
lightly picking because I really enjoyed.
Nah,
I really enjoyed this movie.
I don't believe you prove it in your score count.
I won't.
Ah, so then you did your mouth service.
Pat, what's his name?
Patrick.
Yeah.
It's like Podrick or Patrick.
Yeah, it's like
that.
it's kind of like Patrick, but really Irish.
Did you?
I'm trying to do character
so
names.
I
Here's the
wonder
form. I'll give you a second.
was the language clear for everybody with this one? I feel like there's been like a couple.
Yeah, but on the second rewatch, I did go ahead and throw in subs.
I put subs on
And
just in case.
it didn't
because, Yeah.
I thought it was perfectly clear the whole time.
Yeah.
Which
is impressive.
I had just seen something recently about how like part of the reason why like that that TikTok, the way that voice sounds and stuff, is because people can't understand dialects nearly as well anymore. So that's why it sounds so weird, because it's trying to be a non-dialectic version of English.
Right.
So yeah, I don't imagine that's to be the case with all of us, but I just could see that maybe some of the like discussion, especially in the beginning. In the beginning, it like you do kind of notice it a little bit, but it's still, I think, pretty perfectly understandable.
I think only one character's was only choppy, and that was only at the beginning, and it was Dominic's, played by Barry Keoghan.
Dominic's is strong.
Some of his was very like in it, or if you will, but overall, I remember on the first rewatch we didn't watch it with subs, and I was like, no, yeah, I was like, I got 98% of this movie. There's like little words here and there, but they're mostly kind of just like, oh, fucks. You know,
words you probably wouldn't understand even if they were blown up on text, because it is a different like dialect and different, you know.
It's a very truncated way of speaking, because there's a whole lot of extra words that they remove from everything that they're saying.
Yeah.
Like they're getting their point across with as few words as possible.
Yeah. And as quickly as possible in most cases too.
Yeah.
It's very fast speaking.
And you know, something like, I mean, I think Colin Farrell seals the show here as Patrick. He is absolutely phenomenal.
He was nominated.
He he should be. I thought, wouldn't he?
He was as a main actor. Keoghan was named as best supported.
Oh, okay.
And then the sister was actually in best supporting actress as well.
That's crazy, because like the first thing I remember seeing her in was like
Siobhan?
Breaking Bad. She is a widow at that point, but anyway, that's beside the point. But the thing I love most about his performance, though, is because even though throughout the movie you start realizing truly just how simple his character is, which is the best way to describe him. I didn't catch that at first. Like, he just seemed like, at the beginning, like he seemed like a normal guy, but if I went to rewatch this movie, I would know from the get-go just how simple this character really is.
Right.
And for me, that like when I like truly realized that, was probably my favorite scene of the movie was after Patrick got punched in the face by the police officer, and the way that Colm comes over and just like helps him. Like, just the way they interact with each other without saying anything in that moment is by far my favorite scene of the movie, because like Patrick just like recoils on himself and is just like...
He's like crying on the teeter end of it, because he knows that this little moment of friendship is going to be over again soon.
Exactly. And the scene is quickly shattered for me when you have the diverting of the roads and they both go their separate ways.
Right.
Like, oh, thank you, director. Thank you. I love this food. Thank you.
You know what? Case in point, you couldn't point out that the theme of the movie, so it sounds like you needed a little spoon there.
I feel like you created that theme of the movie.
It's not. It's literally... Look at what the director comments on it.
I don't want any more about this director.
I don't care either.
All right, well, you should, because it's a movie.
The movie's just about like just not being friends with somebody anymore.
I mean, it can tell both stories at the same time.
Yes, it can, and it does. The whole point is it's telling that story through this lens, right? This is the greater theme of which it's speaking to using this story. I'm not saying it's
like
set
the
like
whole
we're using
cutting
a
off
Civil
of the
War
fingers is like cutting your nose, spike your face, and all that kind of stuff. It's like that's the whole Civil War of like, you know, you're just hurting yourself, etc. Yeah, like it's
Mason,
the theme is there. I get it.
Simple boys rise up.
Simple boys.
No wonder you guys like Patrick so much, because he's the one relatable character for you guys.
I will say though, like to Bryce's point, how simple his character was. Like it also started to get more revealed whenever like his sister was basically just like, look, like I am leaving. Like, I'm going to do stuff. Yeah. If you could just maybe be an adult for once, like maybe just leave him alone for however long he wants to be left alone. Like, just create a job.
Right.
Do farming. I don't know what you want to do, but just make money somehow.
I like how whenever she leaves, he just lets all the animals in the house.
Yeah.
It is free range for all animals.
So I think we're not giving this movie enough credit in regards to its tone.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Jenny enough.
Jenny's coming. So... the tone of this movie, I think, is really good. It's actually probably my favorite part of this movie. Like, it gets to do the dramedy aspects and things that you notoriously hate. You hate this combination of two genres. We've learned that through Jojo Rabbit for you. Because you only want one thing or the other. I find that you have a hard time with it.
No, I love that kind of stuff. Barry
That's not
is one of my favorite shows of all time.
Do you think that the director would have agreed with JoJo's theme? of a war torn, blah blah blah, symbolism, yada yada yada.
Yeah, I think that's where he pulled the theme for the
He had
friendship
to.
of these
He
two.
had to.
Right?
Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
believe it.
Well, okay, it's a good movie. I don't blame him for going for good movies and then making good movies off that, Mason.
Dylan's up to here.
Yeah, I'm up to here. You know what? I would be a little less if Mason took the time to rewatch it, but he
He's
said I
eventually-
watched it once and I said, no, I'm good. I'm good.
He's eventually going to
Yeah.
start screaming at
There's a lot of attitude going on.
I know, we're
Don't
alright.
let
So
me go
I
on.
feel like, so we haven't really gone into a whole lot of what actually happens in this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because,
well-
yeah, it starts off with Colm saying like, you know, I'm done being friends with you.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't have much time left on this planet, and I want to, you know, do creative things with it. I don't want to like piss away my time.
I want to create
just
something
talking with you.
meaningful.
And I like
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
get to the crux of that right away.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, he flat out asks him, like, hey, like, why aren't you friends with me? He's just like, I just don't want to. Like, I want to do something else. And
You're
like,
dull.
rather than dragging it out and
Yeah.
being like, oh, was there something that happened? Like, something mischievous or something happened? No.
Nope.
In the first, like, 10 minutes, they're like, nothing happened. Just
You could
chill
almost,
out.
You
And-
could almost chalk it up to a midlife crisis to a degree.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
That,
Exactly.
or also like maybe he also sees Farrell's character that's just a giant waste of like not doing anything. Like they go to the pub at the exact same time every single day.
Oh,
Right.
he outright tells him that. He's
Yeah.
like, you told me about you doing something with your donkey, like the poop he took for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
that shows how much you were
next time I
listening. It's
never
the
get
pony. That was actually.
But that's what he says. He's like you like are so simple. You're just wasting my time.
Right.
And like yeah, he gave him a long time, so I
Yeah.
see where he's coming from.
And Patrick both being like a simpler dude, which again it's simple, but within the context of this island and the circumstance, I don't think he's too like to his point. I don't think he's too much dumber than everybody else around him.
No, I think
yeah.
the only other difference is the guy can play music.
Right, and
Otherwise,
Colm
he likes to drink just as much. He likes
Colm is
to...
just as stupid. To his point, Siobhan, whenever she's like ridiculing him
His
one of the
sister.
2 times, yes.
The
she-
whole thing
the
about like,
17th,
the
18th
17th.
century. Yeah.
Oh,
she was
that
like
was
it was
awesome.
it was the 18th century.
That was a great line.
And I think that line just portraying that's just like you are not much better than he is to begin with. And a lot of this movie on rewatch for me, and I'm higher on it on rewatch. And the first time I was like, this is good, but I think Mason wouldn't understand this. Is that like on rewatch it reinforces a lot of the themes that I thought that was
You're
like.
just lowering his score.
I am. It's
I
fine.
will fucking tank.
That's fine. He was taking it anyway. Shut up. You already knew already where it was landing. I could write it down within a point range and
You
probably be
could.
about right with you. But I think what it does a good job of, it reinforces the idea that it's just like, again, you are just two men, and then why that core theme of me making a big deal about that at the beginning, why it keeps serving on rewatches, because I was like, oh, they did a lot of like, to your point, there's a lot of spoon feeding, I guess, what you would call it.
Way too much.
But I think there's a lot more subtle nods that are really under like.
and those are the
underappreciated
best parts of the
second ones.
movie.
Yeah. Well, no, the best parts of the movie are honestly the comedy. Like, as much as the drama does hit for me, the huhs every now and again, where she's like, "You're dull, huh?"
And
Oh no, we're getting to the cart.
no,
Yeah.
it's not the card. I'm talking about comedy. My favorite comedic line was when they're having that conversation in Colm's cabin or whatever,
Mhm.
and after he's dancing with his dog, and Colm's just like, I don't want to tango, and then
Just
like,
dancing
with your
"You're just
dog."
dancing with your dog.
Yeah. All right, from strictly a comedic standpoint, tell me this movie isn't hidden.
Well, they have great chemistry.
They do.
I
Yeah.
think they have like even when they're at ends with each other, like on the outs
Yeah.
with each other, like they have great chemistry, and like it does bounce off of the whole conversation is just almost electric to me.
Right.
But the comedy is really really good.
No. Yeah, and we've immediately got to talk about, this is the one part that we knew both right away that we were like, oh, this is probably our favorite part of the whole film. And that's the cart riding scene where he bumps into the apprentice guy.
What's his name?
Oh.
From, the Green Knight.
The bread truck.
Yeah, the bread truck.
Yeah.
So he's sitting there.
God,
Oh,
that part was so fucking
are
funny.
you so and so from there? Oh yeah, the post office said that your dad. Well, my dad's dead. And they're like, sorry, your mom. And he was like, aunt. Yeah, aunt. Yeah. And he's like, oh, what was it? And he's like, oh, a bread cart. Well, that's what got me down. Or mom. I swear to God, if it's the same person, I'm gonna kill him. He just walks off furiously afterwards.
And Colin Farrell's just like, oh,
Shit, I
just
know.
wipes his eyebrow.
I know. Fucking love that part.
That was definitely the best part.
So good.
Going back to his sister for a second, that's why I was actually on my phone during a review, is because I was watching her and like she did outstanding, and I was thinking like, okay, so Colin Farrell, Gleason, like those are both huge name actors already.
Yeah.
Then the next person I would think of from this movie was her, and it's like, like, I know she's been in Better Call Saul a lot, Breaking Bad, but I've never seen her in anything else. And I was just checking, and she's really been like small roles and everything else. So what I'm saying is, like, I'm glad they gave her a chance to flex her acting muscles here, because I thought she was awesome. She really sold the like she was like, you could tell that she was like one of the only people that really had themselves together, and she like realized like how futile it was just living on this place. Like, she was like, I have to get out of here somehow, but I don't want to leave my simple brother. And then eventually she's at the point where she's like, I have to do something, because like no one here is going to change. I'm not going to change. Like, I need to go do something else.
Also, maybe the most intelligent character in this entire movie was the sister.
Oh yeah,
because like she
leaps
went
and
to
bounds.
the postcard or the post office
yeah.
and basically just let her have it. Like, in a way, she was just like, because that girl was just snooping on everyone's mail.
The busybody.
Yeah.
Like, I want news. Like, give me news.
Give me news. I work at the post office. I need news.
So one of the other.
Whenever Podrick gives her news,
she's
the police officer really gives him quite a lot for it.
A good lesson.
Well, and then Podrick says like, well, he diddles his son. Here's some news for you.
Speaking of back to the comedy bits again, the interactions.
That was the beating the son part. That part happened later. At the
that's when later he's starting to say, I'm going to go hit him again, and then by the time he's walking up to the house, Dominic is dead. But no, so speaking of the comedy parts again, is the Colm and the pastor's confession scenes. Well, sir, if hitting a cop is a sin, I think we might as well best all pack it up then at this point and go home. No, I thought those ones were all like pretty solid as well. The House of Despair, it's coming back a little bit by the tail end of the movie.
Someone explained to me the symbolism and why that old banshee woman kept showing up over and over.
She's death.
Oh, we're talking about the crazy witch lady?
Yeah. She
on
rewatch. So I'm with you on the first time. I didn't know what she was supposed to be.
She's carrying around after Dominic dies.
Yeah.
It's very interesting that that's apparently what she symbolized, because I didn't catch that at all, and two, she just was like, I could tell that she symbolized something, and I was just sick of her every time I saw her.
Well,
but
I like those kind of characters.
Oh,
I like somebody that looks like just kind of out of place.
Yeah,
and just
but
like
they need to be a
creepy.
good character in and of themselves, which we're going to see a way better depiction of death here pretty shortly, funnily enough. But like, just because she symbolizes death
kill us?
doesn't mean
I was like,
you'll see. I'm team.
Is it the penguin?
Is it?
Yeah.
It's that damn penguin.
Yeah.
No, so to your point, and I didn't hate her on the first rewatch, or on the first watch. I remember thinking, I'm like, what is she supposed to be? Because to your point, there's that itch where it's just like, I don't know, but for you, I feel like you're like, I don't know, and I hate you for it, right? Like,
that's exactly how I feel.
Where I'm like, I don't know, and I'm intrigued.
I chalked it up to just like, I missed an Irish term or a phrase early on that explained her reasoning,
who she is.
Yeah,
like,
and I was
in the
just
community.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was just like, I'm just gonna let her ride because I've forgotten all about her until you mentioned that. She looked like a witch.
If you rewatch it, here's a fun part for it. If you rewatch it and you have a little idea of like, okay, she's supposed to be a like symbolic character. Okay. She's not really like a character, right? Okay. The only line, like her dialogue is all exclusively talking about death. The one line she has while talking with them is, hey, when did your parents die again? Has it been 7 years, 8 years? And they're like, 8 years, right? And then, like, she does scowls because he's like, she hides from you behind the walls. And then she says nothing else. The next lines, all the rest of her lines throughout the film are talking about, well, there's going to be some deaths happening. There's going to be 2. There's going to be this. Right.
Yeah.
All of her dialogue is strictly speaking in death. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it is a little bit. If anything, I was like, that's both somehow giving me the spoon and not giving me the spoon on this one.
I just didn't like that this was like an omniscient character in a very like so grounded place.
Yeah.
Island.
I get that.
Grounded island.
Small town Kentucky, really.
Bottle episode.
I don't know. I like there being like a little bit of like mystery and mysticism in any story like this. Make it a little bit fantastical.
Yeah, like I appreciate that it doesn't go too far over with it, but
yeah, it's like you could chalk it up to her just being a crazy old bat,
right.
Or maybe she is a little something more, maybe she does know more, but it's not like she doesn't. it's not like she couldn't exist.
Well,
Right. She could just be a regular person.
Yeah.
That was
Just a
another
little
thing.
weird.
Because, like, you had, like, the pub bartender, you had, like, the post office lady, you had the cop that no one likes. This was a very, like, small town roles, you know,
I
everywhere
appreciate that the
scattered
cast
about.
was very small because it made everything
Yeah.
feel a little bit more
Yeah,
intimate.
it was, well, it was also
Yeah.
easier, too.
Right.
That's another reason
I still
why
am terrible
thought
with
she was
names. I had to,
normal.
like, go through them in my head on the way here. I'm like, Siobhan's the sister.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick is
And Colm.
Colm. And then
Mhm.
Dominic is Barry Keoghan.
Yeah, I can remember.
Yeah, but speaking to the drama side of the film, because I feel like this is how I'm organizing my train of thoughts here with it. Talking on some of the beats on that, Jenny's almost hero price.
Yes.
Is I would say on the drama side, like how does I guess the better parts of like the sinking feelings, right? The like the drama and frustration. Early on, I feel like that the fights between them, I'm like, okay, you're landing your tone. I don't feel like I'm being taken out of it, but it doesn't feel like it carries too much stakes until fingers start getting cut off.
So not knowing what this movie was,
Yeah.
was the first time I'd seen it. I just saw the length of it, and I was like, all right, watching it first thing in the morning. That way I can just zone in. And I didn't know what was happening as it was, because at one point Colin Farrell looks at his calendar. It's like, oh, it was April Fool's Day.
Right.
Like, go right back to him.
Right.
And then he said something about chopping fingers off, and I'm like, the fuck is this movie
Did
about?
you do laundry? That's a pretty big leap.
Yeah,
There's definitely some
exactly.
stuff happens there
Right?
between the.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
But like, Colin Farrell was just like trying, and then like I was with you. Once fingers started getting cut off, I was just like,
Right.
now I'm into it. I remember thinking like, okay,
Yeah.
finally this movie has a little bit of momentum and interest
I
for
don't-
me.
Those are some crazy shears. That's
Yeah,
all.
Yeah.
and you know they
yeah.
were.
I can't imagine shears like that chopping through bone.
No.
Like, I mean, maybe if you get like right along the joint or something,
Yeah.
you can do it. But man, those.
The
oh.
dog grabbing the shears which
Yeah.
afterwards. But no, I
Like,
think
you're not doing this
No, not again, human.
what
Not
I
again.
what I at
You
least
didn't even give it to me.
I know. Last time he's like licking the the stubs later on.
Yeah.
The parts that I kind of like about the movie is that early on it's like giving us at least a little incentive for thinking like why Patrick should keep going back and trying with Colm, right? The first time he thinks it's an April Fool's joke, and I'm like, okay, that's a normal person like train of thought there, right? The second time he's like a little drunk, he goes off on him, and then later Dominic tells him, oh, he thought that that was the most interesting you ever been. So then he's like, oh, I'll just yell at him then. That's what he wants from me.
Yeah.
Because the entire time he's just feeling like, I need to re-spark our kinship, so to speak.
That moment of him going over to his house and like trying to act up,
Right.
that was the moment where it's like it couldn't be more clear that he's not the brightest.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
that
It's-
he couldn't even.
It's
figure
what
out
a
how to,
dumb
like-
person would think, right? That they were like, oh, you're right, I do need to try this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not just the idea of trying it, but just like the reality of what he was doing. He kind of lost steam and
Yeah.
was just like, so back to normal then?
Right. I love that he says that too, even after he tells him he sends the apprentice guy off or whatever. He's like, oh yeah, I told him that his dad died or something, or his mom died or something. And like just all of the air going out of the room with it. No, this is a movie that has like a really taglineable like review thing, because I'll shout back to 3 Billboards, where it was very much a drama that I was like, yeah, and only really until the Molotov cocktails start flying, I'm like, oh, this movie's getting interesting. And I kind of thought the same thing about not to the same degree, but it was just like, oh, and when fingers start getting thrown against doors, I'm like, oh, now we're really in the film.
Yeah, that's right.
To me, that's not when the movie hit. I think like the premise in itself was intriguing enough for me personally.
I was in it very
I like
early
that
on.
it was
Yeah.
super small and grounded, and then when the one finger came off, I was like, okay, like I'm on board for this. Like I
Right.
could see this guy doing that to send a message or whatever. For me, when I checked out though, was when he cut off all of his
He
fingers.
cut off like
Well,
3 more.
no, he
4
cuts
more.
off
No,
everything.
everything.
Every other
Okay, so it
finger.
went 1 finger and then 4
4 fingers.
one
Okay.
finger and then
Yeah.
4. When he did the 4, I was kind of okay. Like I understand that this like the Colm is kind of crazy in a sense that he's not too well, especially after you see him with his fiddle or whatever at the pub.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
like,
right.
I was like, okay, he is kind of off his rocker, but at the same time, like he would have bled out from all that in the first place. But all this is suffice to say is that like
and gets it licked later.
I just thought it was too fantastical at that point. Like I checked out on the realism factor whenever all of those came off.
I don't know.
For me.
I liked it just because like it showed him like walking by. It was like him and his sister, right, that was walking up to the cabin, and
Yeah,
she
he
saw
was walking
him,
past.
and I thought
And
that was
you
kind of
could
eerie.
tell that, like,
He's lost
in the
blood
shot,
on
they
his
could
face.
see that he didn't have fingers
Yeah, 'cause
on that
his-
hand. And
his
Well,
hand
yeah,
is
and
just-
it zooms in on it too.
Yeah.
and
Right.
that'd be pretty noticeable.
The
Yeah.
blood drips and all that stuff, dude. It's like pretty metal, actually. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Like that was like kind of cool and creepy and eerie, and I
Yeah.
actually those were the parts where I was
I
like,
liked
this movie has weight now.
yeah, I liked it whenever it was not afraid to hit like a darker than like average drama tone, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Because the movie itself was dark, like
Yeah.
filter wise. Like I think it was rainy.
just
It
couldn't
was,
think anything other than this guy is stupid.
dude, the whole
Yeah, but-
character base was
Like
stupid. Everyone in this movie was dumb.
he was not.
well, Master Bond.
He was not the person that he wanted to be at all. If he's
Right.
chopping off his fingers.
Right.
Well,
And if
He
all
got
these
one
people
song.
were coming to visit him
Mhm.
for like playing music with him and stuff, and acting like he's like, I don't know, I guess some kind of notable person for that. Why the hell would he not have just gone elsewhere to do that kind of thing? Why has he got to have him come into him in this like shithole of a town?
Why, to his point, there's so many times where all of his moments with Shaban is like him trying to convince her that they're the same soul, effectively, right? Like she gets it. Like he's like, you're unfulfilled too. You understand why I'm doing this, and she's like, no, I don't. What you're doing, like why you're doing it. I think she can kind of meet him with, and like,
Yeah.
that's what he calls her out on. But what he's doing and how he's going about it, she's just like, you are. Both saying it and not saying it, you are just as dumb as everybody else, including my brother here, for
Yeah.
what you're
If
doing.
you, so Price would hate this, but this is probably like all centered around the greater motif of it being about Civil War.
Yes.
Oh,
I know.
That-
Mason, can you join him over there?
That is the
God.
justification for how ridiculous he's behaving.
Yes, it is. There's
Because
the
it's
whole
not
concept.
about them really. It's about this overall narrative, this overall
Mhm.
arcing story of what Civil War is.
Mason, come to the simple.
you guys
side
are
of
a
the couch
brainiac
with me.
sandwich.
We're not. Price said it.
but
No,
see,
Price
my
said it at the
thing is,
beginning.
if that's the justification for it, that still
Doesn't
doesn't
land.
redeem
It,
it.
listen, it still has to
It's
land for you. It
so-
still has to land for you,
Like,
regardless.
I
right?
hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't mind it. I don't mind that there's a theme that drives a story that otherwise is a very simple story, right?
Question.
Just leave the simple story as it is. That's all it needs. It's similar to me and with Whiplash in that, like,
No.
I love that it's a simple story and it's very small. That's one of the best things going for it. I don't need this tied into like, oh, these are what I think about the geopolitical politics.
So,
That is
Whole,
true.
Price.
If Price looked up the director and he saw that the director quoted that this was about global warming and blah blah blah
Right.
blah blah, then Price is probably going to take it down about 5 notches because
Okay.
it's not about that in his eyes. It is about the music and the relationship between
it's about the
Jenkins
movie
and Miles
itself.
Teller, yeah.
What am I seeing on the screen?
I will never not disagree with you on that concept. Not to say that movies need it, but I'm saying that you get brought down by it, and that's like the dumbest thing to me. Like it's the one thing I will always be your yang to your yin to on that, because I'm like, no, if you don't want to,
Yin my yang.
yeah, if you if you don't want to like say that I need to see
cock
that,
yin.
fine.
Oh God.
But it's the
Yeah,
fact that
I'm
it
surprised
exists
that's
for
not
you
come
that
up.
drives
I
you
know, right?
down on score, and that's where I kind of get lost on that, because I'm just like, no, I think that it can be fine that you're telling a story that's telling a story. Like you're sitting here and saying that at the end of the day, it's a message somewhere. Where are the Bible watchers for this? Kelly Senior, tell him about how you can tell a story with a greater message behind it, and that's okay. Is
Like a
that
fish.
not
Like
all
a
of
pair,
it?
like
A parable,
It-
right? A parable,
so
or
it-
right? That's
it
the whole
is-
concept.
a parable or a
It's okay
fish.
until
But you still have to like the
until
story.
that like
Period.
background narrative and morale is driving the main storyline to do things that wouldn't make sense.
Nathan just
necessarily.
explained exactly how I feel.
Like that's my
Yeah.
problem with this is like
So where does it feel like that the characters aren't doing what feels natural to them versus not?
The end when they
calm. Him
Sorry.
cutting off all of his fingers
Because he's a
when he
musician.
is a musician
Yes.
is insane.
Yeah.
And
And
essentially,
Civil War is insane.
Right.
But what like no that he doesn't do that.
now
No,
granted, it's been a few months since I've seen this movie, but wasn't it one song that he was trying to perfect?
That's
Yeah,
exactly
he was
it.
working on
And
it.
he
Well,
called
no,
it
he-
the
the way-
Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah.
No, it's not
He likes
like
double
the
S's
way
and
he
double
was
E's.
talking is like whenever he explained that story to Podrick, it was just like, I've started working on this song. I'm gonna have it hammered out here in a couple of weeks, and then there'll be a new song in the world.
Yeah.
And then go on and do other things, right?
Yeah.
You're not going on to do anything else if you've got a nub.
A fiddle
He could do this.
is a two-handed
He can
instrument. I mean...
He shakes his fiddle. Uses it as a blunt weapon.
Maybe that should be my question.
See.
What one-handed instruments does Colm transition to at that point?
If he's
The
left, if he's
maraca.
right.
The maracas?
Honestly.
Can't even play triangle.
Tambourine.
Yeah, tambourines, ones like that. No, but anyway.
He could do drums. I mean,
Oh, Def Leppard.
Def Leppard.
Def
Yeah.
Leppard, that's true.
Yep.
Let's get to Jenny because we gotta wind down on the narrative talk on this one.
Remind me who Jenny is.
The fucking
The
donkey.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was sitting here thinking she was a real person
You owe
the whole
this,
time.
you
and I
owe
was
this
like,
movie a score.
movie has
at least
5
1 point for not
characters.
remembering at least the donkey.
I didn't know her name.
Everybody knew her. Even Press knew her name.
I did.
Just watched it 2 days ago.
Why didn't you?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, so Jenny is great. He tries to let her in. She's like, quit letting the donkey in. She is so lovable.
She keeps
And then the
popping
movie.
up in the kitchen.
Yeah, she's popping up in the kitchen.
Here's
And
one
then
thing,
she chokes on Colm's fat fingers. And it kills her. And it is
Dead.
so sad. And it's the only reason Hannah didn't rewatch this movie with us. She's like, I can't watch Jenny die again. And I'm like, that's fair. It was hard on second watch too. But as the tipping point for Patrick just being like, nope, fuck it, this is never gonna end.
Yep. I'm with you there.
Yes, I was like,
Now,
okay.
not the Civil War aspect where like it just propagates itself like Hatfields
It does-
McCoys. I believe that this character is so simple
Mhm.
that like his sister has left him, so he's already kind of broken.
Dominic
And
is dead at
and
this point.
yeah, sure, Dominic's dead. He doesn't really care as much about that, I don't
Well,
think. But
like,
Jenny,
and in
I think is
the
what tips him.
narrative, he doesn't know that that's happened.
Sure,
That
that's right. He
happens
doesn't know.
after the
Right,
fire.
right. He doesn't find out until after the fact, right? But yeah, his sister has left him. He's lost his best friend that he's continually going back on.
and again, I don't care about the symbolism of the Civil War. It's honestly not having an impact on my score, I can promise you. But like, I just like that. Like, I see why he's so upset at this point. Like,
Right.
when finally he burns down Colm's house, and then they have that come together
Yeah.
at the end. And Colm's like, hey, this is kind of getting out of control. Like, we're good now. We're kind of even. I accidentally took your donkey. You took my house. Like, let's
Right.
call it. And Patrick's like, no.
Fuck
You
off.
should have
Absolutely
burned
not.
in that
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Like,
it should have been you in there.
and he
yeah.
said something about like you killed Jenny or something, and like you
Right.
can't take that.
Your
back.
fat stubby fingers killed
Yeah.
Jenny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, I see where he's coming from.
Right.
At this point, he's just full of hatred.
I think my only issue with the end, I liked the ending, but as this movie kept on going, I could have guessed that was going to be the ending, or something very similar, especially after the house burnt.
Yeah.
That they were going to, because they both still existed, they were
Mhm.
both still very much alive, they had to have one last little meet and greet,
Mhm.
whether it be shoreside, whether it be cliffside.
Oh, that they were going to have like a little conversation again.
There was going to be,
Right.
what's it called, closure. Right?
Yeah.
There's going to be something said, and
Well-
I could have guessed that.
Closure, I probably wouldn't say is the right word for it. 'cause
Did you
clearly the
see
doors
Colm
open.
living through that fire though? Because personally, I didn't.
I thought he
No,
did.
no, for a while.
No, I
when
thought
I
he
first
was
watched
dead.
it, I was like, he's just gonna die in there.
Because like it
Yeah.
shows a shot of him in the
Yeah,
house.
it shows him in
Yeah,
there.
it
like,
shows
the
him in there
smoking a
smoking,
cigarette,
right.
which is the exact same shot that they had at the very,
Very beginning
beginning
of the
whenever
film.
he
Mhm.
checks in on him.
Yeah.
No, I thought that he did only because, like, I think I had known how much the movie was left. Like,
Oh,
I had
yeah.
been keeping up with
Yeah.
it because this is a lengthy movie. Does anybody know?
It's just
Hour
under 2 hours.
50.
It's hour 50.
Oh, okay, I thought it was long.
So
But
like
anyways,
credits, hour 40.
Yeah.
as I was watching, I think I did see that because maybe I did have that thought, but I remember thinking, like, all right, well, if they're both still alive, Patrick is going to come to him, or vice versa, and there's going to be a come to Jesus between the two of them, and someone's going to say, no more. And I figured it would be Patrick. But
Yeah, but I mean, Patrick tried that early on, and then nobody's giving it a 10.
Well, I'm still putting it out there.
Yeah,
Yes,
Patrick.
I'm
I mean, that happens early on too. Patrick tries to sit there and shake.
I think
Like
it's
they do.
Podrick.
Podrick. Yeah. Well, it's spelled with an A. That's why I'm going in that pronunciation.
Yeah.
And subtitles. That's the only reason I know.
Subtitles
It's
did say
Patrick.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just feel like that's the way I heard him saying
It is.
Maybe.
Well, that's Irish. But
Baldrick.
Baldrick. Yeah. I mean, he literally at the beginning of the movie says, "Oh yeah, sorry about it." Like Podrick tries to do that same thing, and then later, like Gleason tries to give him the nub, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, no, we're gonna do this forever. No, and note to the cinematography because we haven't talked about this, and it's something that I feel like you should have
Gloomy.
appreciated from it. It's gloomy, yeah, but
Rainy.
it is not
Dark.
hard But it's a drama. It's
Overcast.
perfect.
All right, I already knew somebody's gonna say this.
Coastal.
If you're shooting in a place like Ireland, you can fart a good picture.
That's true. Yeah, I've heard you say that before.
I have.
I was going to say that, but thank you for quoting the good critics on this podcast who know what they're talking about it. So yes, when you're shooting beautiful shots, it's not hard to sit there and do some good cinematography. Correct. Now, what I was going to reference on this one, on a rewatch for it, because the first time you're just kind of enamored by like the prettiness of Ireland. Great. On rewatch with it, seeing that one scene you were talking about, the beach scene as it closes off,
At the end.
and it shows old lady death up on like the I guess on the cliffside on the thing.
A mile away.
Right, like, and it's like her, like you got Gleason, Colm or whatever, and then you got Podrick walking off, and then she's like separating them, like she's like literally just sitting there in a chair, like as that symbolic symbol. And I didn't catch it on the first time, but I was just like, oh, I get it. This is the separation. This is her death. This is the death of this.
Once again, just thought she was a crazy old bat.
Well,
Yeah, talking about like a big like a far out shot scene that I thought something was going. Yeah, the cliffs.
Yeah.
I thought something was going to happen there
Yes,
that did not.
That he was going to get pushed off or something.
Not
Right.
pushed off. I thought that
or he's
Colm
gonna
was
jump.
gonna jump.
Well, and that's where it leaves a little bit of what I think is interesting in like where Dominic's character goes in this one, because like it shows Podrick there, and then it shows just the blurry. It never ever shows him in focus, but it's I guess it's implied to be Dominic because later they see like they pull him from the water, and it's like you don't know if he falls, if you don't know if he kills himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So you see Colm, but whenever it shows Colm in like the side shot where it's like up next to him, there's just a blurry figure off on the side on that one.
That scene where Dominic professes his love for his sister is totally unneeded.
I disagree. I think
it is not conducive to the plot.
I think that's
basically telling you why he ends up killing himself.
Right. I think that it's the implication if he kills himself, it's like this is the scene that
Dominic is still extraneous to the plot. Like he doesn't really matter in the long run.
I think that he's also what I got from that was like he's kind of immature. You know, he's just as immature as most anybody at his age, especially on this very bottle island that doesn't have a whole lot of intellect.
You can trade this island for a small town
Kentucky. He's only got a father who is incredibly abusive.
Yes.
Right. Who's both physically and sexually abusive, as they pointed out in the movie.
Yeah.
So.
Not to say that it was completely needed, but I mean I understood. Like he needs something. Otherwise, he is an absolute one-note character that doesn't involve anything.
I think,
sure, give him a crush on his sister, like whatever.
I think it's less about like giving him time to flesh him out as a character. I think it's more about who he is to Podrick, right? Because let's get to the letter.
True.
And whenever his sister is writing him, at this point he does know that like Podrick is dead, and this is the very tail end of the movie. And she's
Podrick is dead.
Or sorry, he knows when Dominic's dead.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I missed that.
Yeah, and she's writing to him, and she was just like, "Just come home. You can leave Dominic to take care of the animals, or whatever, and like you can come here." And don't worry about it. And at this point, now he really does have nothing. Even Dominic, who is not like at all necessarily his best friend by any stretch of the means, but they're
do you
building.
think Dominic is like his Podrick? Like calm,
objectively, right?
That's a good way to put it because he is like pretty fed up with him every time he's around him.
And part of the reason why he wouldn't be
that's a good comparison.
Most of the time, whenever they're together, they're drinking.
Yeah. No, I mean I agree. I think that that's probably even in the deeper like brotherhood symbolism of saying like, yeah, look, this is the continuing trend of like people.
I won't believe it until Dylan tells me that the director said so.
You know what? I'll go fucking find it. I'll go find the clip. I swear to God, I will.
I'm sure it's out there.
I like the research on this stuff with it. I like a movie that sits there and a director has a vision instead
of
just putting colors on the screen. Promare.
Colors.
Shut up. You don't get shit. You get fire and gray.
I definitely didn't have colors with this movie.
No, you didn't.
I had a dark bluish gray the whole time.
What was the color scheme on Prisoners? Black.
Dark.
dark time?
Dense.
What was your score on Prisoners?
A lot.
Go fuck yourself. Anyways, let's get into Fat, Thin, and Perfectly Fit. Mason.
This movie was definitely chunky. I would have, honest to God, said that it was over 2 hours, so I stand corrected there. Yeah. I think the scenes that weren't completely necessary. We keep talking about how this movie is grounded and how it's all just full of simple characters, but they do keep introducing these characters that I guess worked pretty well because I thought they were just part of the community, like the woman.
Like the woman, the bartenders, the male person. Yeah.
And they all had names. Couldn't tell you what they are. But
I couldn't tell you either.
But the witch death lady, I mean, I just thought she was a creepy old broad that walked literally from point A until she walked back to point B again.
You guys don't have creepy old people that live in your neighborhood?
Not in Oakland.
That just shuffle around.
Well, your
trying
neighborhood's
to-
like 5 miles out from the next neighbor, so that's not really a fair comparison.
You're not ducking behind walls to avoid the apparition of death.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to be.
Yeah.
The lifestyle I'm living, I don't know.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it was definitely just chunky. I did like the message that it sent. It was just very, very far in between the moments that things were happening, and I don't know.
Mason doesn't know.
Mason,
Yeah,
I know,
Mason
but it's
doesn't
long.
know.
It's longer than Mason thought it was, so Mason don't give it
It's-
chunky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's kind of hard to really call. Like for me, it's always kind of hard to really call on movies that I don't like so much of.
Yeah.
Whether I would say that it is like fit or fat, because it's just like I mean I wasn't really too stoked about a whole lot of this movie anyway, so I don't really feel like I can make a lot of meaningful contribution on this one because I mean like there's a lot of moments that I'm like yeah I mean that was like some good cinematography, that was some interesting storytelling, but it's wrapped in a story that I was not super stoked about. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it's fine. I mean, you could have probably like trimmed it up a little bit, but so much of what this movie is relies on like the dreary nature of it, which is accentuated by giving it a lot of time to breathe.
Right. Yeah, I was about to say I'm not gonna go my way to say it's perfectly fit, but it's fit enough where I couldn't sit here and think like this scene absolutely needs to go. This segment needs to absolutely go. Any of these scenes, like the longest dragging scenes that aren't on design for sitting with the people in the moment, right, is like the pan over cinematography shots. And even that
But
adds...
if you're in Ireland, you gotta...
Right, you got it. Listen.
You got it, right?
You got Director 101. You're in a pretty place, do landscape
Yeah.
shots, but you know what? To their credit, they have a good score
Like
that
the
adds to the
Scorpion
tone.
You all
King.
keep
Yeah.
talking about this as though it's a really beautiful place. I don't think it really is. Every time they show the overhead shot of like all the fields, like that looks awful.
Mucky
Yeah.
and
Like that just looks
Yeah.
like a maze of
Well, it can
shitty
be-
little walls that people like
I think
are portioning out
Dude,
themselves as like this is
our
my
Ireland
lot.
Right.
listeners and watchers are not
Are
gonna
not-
like
they're
what
not
you're
gonna-
saying.
Nathan, shut up.
Nathan, cut it out.
Yeah. No,
We're gonna lose a subscriber.
I think what makes
They
it...
might want to start coming over here again.
Right. I think what makes it...
Send us potatoes.
Right. The visual interesting aspect, I think, is it's just a different landscape than we're normally traditionally seeing, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, again, this isn't necessarily a perfect Americana, like,
Yeah.
snapshot on it. But yeah, anyways, I don't know what I would cut, so I'm just gonna give it a fit for the sake of saying that, yeah, I didn't really feel like the runtime was bad, and I don't know where I would make cuts if I were to try, so.
I think it was a good amount of runtime to tell a deep story, it's like a small
well-developed drama.
but well-developed story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's still definitely things I would cut. I can tell him exactly what I would cut. Dominic needs less screen time. I understand that this actor is becoming a little bit big. I understand that he does have an impact on the plot, but I do think that he got too much screen time, and I got pretty annoyed every time I saw him past like 5 minutes of him being on the screen. Also, those cryptic conversations with that Banshee lady, I never understood till you all told me what she was supposed to be. And even while I was watching it at the time, I was like, this broad needs to go. I'm tired of seeing her. I'm tired of seeing her
She
shuffle
needs to
around.
kick that bucket.
She
Right.
can be the one to hop off the cliff.
She
I
could be the
don't
one
care.
that dies. Find her body.
I just got so tired of seeing her every time because it's just the director's voice telling you like, oh, this person symbolizes something else. Ooh, really cool.
Can I ask you though, if you were to work with Dominic's screen time, right? If you're, because you knew right away, you were like, I'm gonna cut out him asking Shaban out,
Mhm.
right? If you're gonna have him die, like let's say that point has to still happen.
Okay.
How do you do that with the leftover screen time and it not feel just jarring that he suddenly just found dead?
Probably something with his dad because that relationship has been developed fine to that point. So like having him finally come to his wit's end and realize that that's the only way out, I think would be the way to deal with him. Because I mean, we've already got the history that he's being both sexually and physically abused.
Sure.
He feels trapped on this island. Nothing's helping. I think that's the easiest way. for having to do that.
Yeah, like maybe I can see like if there's like a triggering point where for him he's just like they give more time to like the father. He comes back and he's just like, all right, I'm gonna give it to my son for some reason, right? Like if there's something to that effect, then like maybe you can set that up as like the big prelude, and then the payoff is gonna just be Dominic's body later. But even that gets a little weird because obviously he's like didn't want Dominic to kill himself, so because he still is like crying by the time he sees his son like being pulled in with the stick. So I don't know,
Well, that's his.
Right, that's his only, like, and this is the only other person that he, like, cares about, and, like, sure, because he's abusing him doesn't mean that he doesn't, like, care that it's his son, so, anyways,
They did hang dong in this movie.
and, bro, don't ruin my score, don't ruin my score point.
Got it for you.
So, anyway,
It's just, like, I see a dong on screen, I'm just like, damn it, Dylan.
I did it again!
It's actually a dong.
That was, like, the fullest frontal nudity.
It's a full frontal we've done in a minute.
He's spread.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spread.
He is spread.
It's weird, on the second time I couldn't find his balls, though. Anybody else? Just me. Okay.
That's true, I guess.
You guys turn away, you cowards. Embrace this
Look at
man
it
and
right
his
in its
gross.
eyes.
I was building a Minecraft house at the time.
Oh, I know you were. You were doing anything else at this point.
So he just played Minecraft, having
right.
a great time, just looked over screen,
The screen's just in the background. Jill, he doesn't even know. Jill has to be like, is that a penis? He has to look at it. Afterward. Oh, guess it is. The question, before we get into the scores.
I've had a lot of questions.
We've had one. It's literally that. Well, I guess you've had two so far. This or In Bruges, right away.
This. 1,000 times over. This.
Probably In Bruges.
I think I'm also gonna go In Bruges, just because like
I'm with you on this one.
it was
Oh,
funnier. I think it was much
Yeah.
funnier in Bruges, whereas this was more so just like a, God, this dude really just doesn't want to be his friend. Like that's what I thought
Yeah.
4 or 5 times throughout this whole
Yeah, I
thing.
mean, that's the whole movie. It's just
Yeah.
like, he doesn't want to be your friend.
I don't want to be your friend,
Why
guy.
can't you leave him alone?
Yeah.
I'm not your pal, bud.
Which, again, Civil War.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
want to go their own way. Why can't you leave them alone?
Right.
No, we got to stay one country, even though, we just have different
You're
ideas
Protestant.
now.
You're Catholic. Nah, you're gonna die. Like
Yeah.
for reasons, right? No, I'm more on this one than because to your point, right? Like I think that what I did like out of In Bruges, I liked more in this version because this is a very comparable film to In Bruges. I think we all agree on that one, right? Same director, same crew, same cast, different settings, but like the skeleton of it, right?
I wouldn't say
We have the two
comparable.
main characters in a similar tone of dramedy in a place where it's just a human story revolving around
Well,
other
and
stuff.
it's a situation where we are like in the after the fact.
Yes,
of
the main
story.
circumstances, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's right.
like again, the skeleton, not necessarily like what's going on in the stories,
Mhm.
and why I feel like those are comparable questions. And again, same director too. So even if it was nothing else and it was the same director in the cast, I feel like that's a comparable one too. But with In Bruges, it felt very much like it was trying to do the drama comedy aspects as well. And I just feel like the drama was stronger on this one and the comedy was stronger. It's not that I didn't laugh at In Bruges. The times where I did find levity and I was like, was pretty good on it. I was like, yeah, but it just felt like I laughed more with this film on like the cart harder than anything than I did with
Yeah.
In Bruges. Or just the random, huh? like and the facial expression of Colin Farrell when he delivers that is crushing it. Just little moments and stuff like that. I just thought it was more of what I liked of In Bruges.
I detested In Bruges, and I actually enjoyed this.
Yeah.
So
This one,
easy.
I wouldn't have minded
But
seeing Ralph
In
Fiennes.
Bruges had like the what's his name? The skinhead guy
Ray
that was
Fiennes,
like no, the guy who like sold the guns or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, what
Like
was that?
moments
That really
with him.
eccentric character.
Yes,
Yeah.
like moments
Like-
with him and like the Uzi and like they.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the
Easy.
like the main bad guy being like, oh, got standards,
Yeah,
Yeah.
blowing his brain. Like
Yeah.
there's
bang.
to me it's a much more
It's more of a fun.
more
watch.
entertaining.
Yeah, it's more fun. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take away from that one. I would say it's more. Yeah, it's got more quirkiness. We'll give it
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's got a lot more of those things for it. But yeah, I feel like those would feel very out of place if they tried to do that in this movie. Anyway, let's get the scores. Mason.
5.
Yep.
Whoa!
It's not.
It's the first time you're gonna line up with Price on scores, actually.
That is low for
It's-
you, sir.
The thing is, like, I don't think that this is nobody's movie. Like, this movie is an okay watch for some type of person, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
What kills me about this movie is this was an Oscar-nominated movie, whereas, again, maybe it wasn't spoon-fed enough, the Civil War thing, because I didn't understand how on earth this was a movie about a guy who just didn't want to be friends anymore with another guy in the mid-1800s?
Whenever the Civil War, I don't know. This is closer to...
This
is like
in the
early,
19s.
1900s.
Yeah.
You know, way back in the day, like, and to me, like, the cast was good, but there wasn't very many people involved in it. And it's just this small town vibe of, I just didn't understand how on earth this got that much gravity for the Oscar noms.
Great.
And
I feel like
don't you dare sing John Mayer.
I feel like I see why it got an Oscar nom. Like, it seems like a very Oscar-based movie to me.
Yeah.
Maybe just because, like, Farrell is, like, looped into it and he does give off a pretty good performance. I'll agree with you guys, you know.
I'd say
Farrell
even
is great.
Gleason's performance is very much in line with it. But he didn't get nominated, but...
Well, he does what he
1920.
always does, I think.
Yeah, 1920s.
But, I don't know. This movie was not that great, in my opinion. Just for me, because
Gave
it's
it a
just...
5.
Kept, what I said in the chat yesterday, I got a kick out of.
I don't remember.
Price asked something about the movie, and I said my favorite part was when Colin Farrell really, really wanted to be friends with Colin.
Oh, yeah, I
yeah.
said, like, we're not going to ask who's the best character because it's obviously Jenny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's just... It was very repetitive. Once you saw the post office lady, you saw the post office lady again later on, just with another character involved. Once you saw the cop, then you saw a little bit more with the cop. Then you saw Colm and freaking Colin Farrell for the 5th time in a row, where they were basically saying the exact same things, maybe at just higher decibels. And over and over, it was just this repeat of this movie. And then at the very end, you finally got some clarity where Colin Farrell just said, you know what, finally, fuck you. Let me be the one to, you know, make this decision. So... I don't know. This movie was not for me, and I thought it was very bland. Buffet.
Buffet of bland!
That's just me.
Esoteric. Whoop, 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 whoop.
No.
The more I have mulled over this whole Civil War aspect,
Oh, no.
it really,
Like wine.
Yeah.
it really makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, heavily. Because it's not that they, like, it's not that it's representing the, like, the actual battle of Civil War until the very end. The whole lead up to it, where there's the constant, like, antagonizing each other back and forth, that is, like, I guess the idea of, like, two factions that want to go their separate ways but refuse to do so because they need some kind of unity until it ultimately blows up into a civil war. And that's what the whole burning of the house and all that stuff is at the end, I guess. That still doesn't save it. Like, because at the end of the day, like, if I'm watching a movie, I want to watch something that I will enjoy. You know, I recently watched Sonic 2.
Hey!
You know, that's a really fun movie. I enjoyed that.
Can we watch
that? Give me that before
Movies
you
I
give
didn't
me
think
this.
were going to be used as comparisons on this review. I would have lost that on my bingo chart.
Yeah.
Could have swore Shrek would be brought up.
Also, what are you doing watching Sonic 2? That didn't come out before 2001.
You know, sometimes you...
Wait, did you watch Sonic 1?
Yeah.
Well, that's even weirder to me.
I mean, I played Sonic as a kid.
Is Jim Carrey in too?
Yeah.
Thought he was
I need
huge
to,
in
I need
it.
to watch that.
It is
I hear it's
good.
great in
Put
one.
it on the wheel.
Like, they're honestly, both of them.
Yeah, I've
like,
heard good things.
2 is definitely
Put it on the wheel.
best of them so far, but they're both good. Like, I'm genuinely impressed with them.
Put it on the wheel.
We'll just put it over Puss in Boots. We
but-
can only have one live action
Anyway,
animated.
we're talking
Pick one.
about something entirely different here today, and this it's just not for me. Like, I get that it's like, you know, it's very Oscar baity. It's got a lot of really good acting in it, but it is not my movie. And I don't even want to, like, give it points for it, like, being, like, objectively good, because I'm not being a critic about it.
How you enjoy
I'm
it.
saying,
Right.
you know, how much do I like this movie? And I don't really like this movie. So I'm going to give it a 3.5.
All right, well, I'll go next because the band of the hour goes last.
Yep.
So I did enjoy this movie. Dylan keeps saying 5. He loves calling it, but he's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't care about the symbolism aspect of it. I never care about the symbolism aspect of it. I detest the fact that they structured it all around the fact that it's about Civil War, but as I was watching it, I never got that feeling. The only feeling I got from it is that I enjoyed watching the dynamic of these two characters play with each other, and watching Colin Farrell was a treat. I mean, I thought he was absolutely astounding in this movie. And seeing the girl from Breaking Bad really get to flex her acting muscles and probably have a good career after this was exciting to see. But, I mean, the setting itself is pretty boring, but that's not what I care about. Dylan and I talked about it last week, actually, about how, character dramas are, one of the things that we really like, and I'm not grouping myself with him because we like vastly different movies, but that's one of the categories I really enjoy, and this movie fits in that mold. There are other parts of this movie, though, that, I do really, didn't like. Again, I said Dominic got too much screen time. The Woman of Death or whatever, I got annoyed every time she was on screen. So I did like it, but I don't have the wanting to see this movie again. Again, I compare it to Whiplash in that it's about these two people having this very intimate relationship and how that plays out. That's what Whiplash is. That's also what this is. But this one, to me, I'm not going to be getting that depth or those emotions that I feel from rewatching Whiplash that I'm not going to get from this movie. I didn't phrase that correctly, I don't think. But I'm not going to feel those those same emotions I got from the first time watching Banshees. I'm not going to get it from the second. Maybe I'll find little minute things in the acting.
Well, now that you know that it's a Civil War.
Yeah.
That makes me hate it even more.
Now there's thematic aspects of these things that these represent? No.
Yeah, and a lot of the shoehorning to fit that topic kind of shows its head. I was going to give this a 6.5, but Nathan said something earlier that I've now forgot that did knock it down to a 6, because I don't want to be beaten over the head. I don't want the director spoon feeding me on the symbolism, everything. At the very end, when they're having that last conversation, they're like, yeah, I think the war's about to end, and Patrick's like, it's never gonna end. And I'm like, no, I don't want this. They just beating it overhead with the symbolism. I'm done with it. This movie's a 6. I definitely enjoyed my time with it, but I'm never going to come back to it. Now it's Dylan's turn.
I want to give it a spite 10 because I hate this so much, but I'm not going to.
I want you to give this movie a 10, and then we will berate you for the next year.
It's not a 10.
Do it. No. Give it an 9.5. Coward. Do it.
No, it's not that.
You gave Oh Brother a 9.5.
Wait, is that
You gave Oh Brother a 9.5.
I gave what?
Oh Brother.
Oh, dude, that's a top 10 movie.
Get the fuck out.
It's so good.
Well, he also gave Social Network a 9.5, so you know what?
Social Network was really good. See, and this is a duality.
Oh Brother's not good?
It's not that good.
9.5 is a lot.
Anyways, so
news to me.
Where I want to challenge, not necessarily just you, Press, it's I think the concept where some people would say that some stuff is spoon-fed where some isn't. I would say if it was spoon-fed, then you would have known right away that the whole theme of this movie was that. But because you didn't know that, I wouldn't say that it's spoon-fed. So,
and that's why I'm not upset about that.
Right.
I said I'm just about war, that didn't play into my score.
I'm just challenging the language of what they're giving it. Sure, on the very end, that is the most spoon-fed part line. I would say it's oh, they're clearly talking about the war, and what they're really talking about is them.
And the last impression I have of the movie is a huge eye roll from me. So that's not a good way to end a movie. Whereas Whiplash, I'm like, I want to go flip a truck or something. This one
I felt at the end of Never Back Down.
No, I'm with you on Never Back Down.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he said flipped his garage.
Anyways.
I flipped a cow.
That's called tipping here in the South.
I've never actually done that, nor do I know anybody who's
I haven't
actually
either.
done that. Yeah. Anyways, point of my
seems hard.
Point of my review is this.
Cows are heavy.
I do
hate more than you think cows.
Shut up, Bryce. Let me finish this, otherwise we're gonna do this review all day long.
You're right.
I do really enjoy this movie. I think that I don't know. Maybe my actual genre is low key dramedy because I do like something that balances the aspect of we can have this dark somber film and it's deep in this one, but it has the moments of levity because I do think that's so organically human. I think very rarely is when things are pure drama, only it was something I couldn't even tell you, a grief, something heavy grief. I don't know if my wife just died or something like that. Then, but even then, there's random moments of dumb awkward laughter and things like that.
Yeah.
So I find very rarely is drama as a 100% pure genre is really my cup of tea. I do like feeling the levity and the balances in here and that. And this movie, I think, in my opinion, does a very good job of doing those two tones and those threading that line very, very well. I'm somebody who appreciates a bigger theme with it and where it connects the dots on this one, and it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't feel like it's puppeteering much of this movie, right? To Nathan's opinion, I could definitely see a little bit of an argument to say that, like, Colm as a person and character in this story would not, in his best interest, cut his fucking fingers off if he's trying to write the song. Now...
He's playing the fiddle at the end.
Right. Playing isn't the word
we're
for
underselling that moment.
Right. Yeah, so... the little bit of rebuttal I could have in that is that clearly Colm is, like, not supposed to be portrayed as both somebody who is partly that intelligent, other than being a musician, partly he's just trying to send the message across, and what better way to send the message across than doubling down on something that is so obviously important to him, not just his fingers, the playing fingers. I guess you can make the argument to say that it's like, okay, if you're playing him a little bit more deranged, then it's definitely an avenue for that. And frankly, for him to even suggest cutting any limbs off and throwing it at the door, I would say is probably valid enough to say...
He could have started with toes.
Yeah, I mean, and he should have.
Yeah, he should have.
Yeah, but then I guess he wouldn't be able to walk up and down this hill.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, yeah, so I guess you probably do start with fingers. Toes are kind of... They're more important than you think.
I'd rather have toes.
I mean, I would too, but...
Well, no, fingers.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can do so much more with fingers than
toes. You can open doors with them. So...
You become part Monkey Man?
You can,
you
can play video games with your toes.
Yeah, exactly.
People do it.
Anyway, so I clearly got much more out of this whole experience than everybody else, and that's fine. Honestly, if anything, it's good conversation between me and a friend of mine. So my friend who pitched In Bruges to me originally, right? And he was still way too high on it, in my opinion. I missed the show immediately, and I was like, all right, watch this. I want to see what you think of this. Because honestly, any other opinions, I was like, let's see. And he was just like, yeah, it was good. I like In Bruges more. And I'm like, you're fucking nuts. In Bruges is a little too, like, I don't know. I guess for me, I would say it's just not as well organized. And, like, there's just things that just didn't land all the way with me. This movie just lands with me. Jenny is a light. Jenny dying is appropriately painful. So anyway, TLDR, I like it. 8.5. Totally fitting score, totally appropriate. It's what it should have got from everybody else. Anyway, critics and everybody else, really quickly. Critics love this movie.
Really?
I guess. Anyway, on Rotten Tomatoes, I got 96 with an audience score of 75.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That much, okay, with the audience I can see.
We normally roll our eyes whenever we see that the critics are, like, way up there, where the audience is, like, down here with us.
For that, there's, like, a good, like... We'll see, right? Yeah. Every now and again there's movies where it's like, no, we're the critics now. Mm-hmm. But this one, I'm like, honestly, I'm surprised 75%, like, that this was that high on it. Cause
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think for most people going to movie theater experience, they're in the Nathan camp of like, I want something that can turn my brain off and kind of really enjoy. There's a reason why Marvel films, Fast and Furious. Well, no, not to that degree.
Brain off kind of thing. I'm just
something that you enjoy, but
do you like Transformers, Nathan?
Yeah.
Wow.
You like Sonic? The Transformers might not be out of the realm for him. Let's
Transformers is kind of good.
Pick a Transformers then.
First one for sure. The second one's pretty good too.
Prove it. Anyway,
watch this newest one because it had a Super Bowl spot.
God, the one with the monkey bot now, the animal bots.
No maybe.
Yeah, that's what it is.
What are those called? That's a whole. Thing.
Yeah, there is. I can't remember what it was in the game.
No.
No, sir. None of that.
Teaser.
Oh, anyways, let's spin the wheel.
Nathan, spin it.
Spin.
Dylan, you gotta watch Barry.
I don't.
If you love dramedies,
let's go, puss.
That's peak. Nope. It's another. Oh, isn't that Dylan's?
Bullet Train. That's Nathan.
I know it's Nathan's slot, but didn't you pick it?
I didn't pick
me.
That.
It's mine.
Oh,
we get to watch Bullet Train next week.
Oh, that's right. It is Mason. It's just under. I was about to say. I'm like, wait, why did Nathan pick?
Oh, by the way, so Mason watched Banshees like months ago. Yeah. I watched Bullet Train like a few months ago.
Yeah, same. No, I'm doing the same thing.
That's fine, right?
Yeah, we're out.
Now I'm gonna watch it on my phone.
God, that maybe is worse than watching it again.
Yeah. Well, so the thing. Oh, never mind. Put some boots I hadn't seen. I was gonna say I'd seen every single thing on this wheel.
Hold on, really quick. How many we got left on here? We got Boots. Like 3. We got Madison. We got Willie.
There's 4.
There's 4.
Where was the other one?
Willie, Boots,
Bullet Train.
Yeah. Willie, Boots, and Billy.
Yeah. Well, besides Bullet Train. Bullet Train.
Anyways, we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Anyway, make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and comment what you think. Wow. Did you guys think that the drama was good? Did you think the drama was bad? Did you think it was too gloomy? Did you think it was haha? Did you like small ponies? Did you like did
you like the Banshee of Death?
Yeah, did you like the Banshee of Death? Do you like themes and overall things driving the overall story, or do you fucking hate it? That's the real question I want to know. Let
That's
me know
a
in the
terrible
comments.
way to phrase that.
Well, that's what it is. Anyway, let us know in the comments below either way what you guys think. If we could be doing better, we could be doing worse. Do you have a movie you'd like us to watch? We won't pick it. But we'll consider putting it on the wheel if we actually were going to want to watch it anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's our show, guys. Make sure to subscribe. Bye!
Suggest Shrek.
No.
I want to watch Shrek.
No, because what we'll get is Human Centipede or something.
Oh, yeah. Sign me up.